We are fortunate to have Dr. Madhurgiri Nageswara-Rao, who is in Florida, I believe. Dr. Rao joined the USDA Agricultural Research Services Subtropical Horticulture Research Station in Miami, Florida, as a geneticist. His research focuses on subtropical and tropical ornamental genetic resource management. Before joining the ARS, Dr. Rao worked on regulatory sciences at the Linden, New Jersey USDA-APHIS. He has worked in the pharmaceutical and biotechnology industries and with various universities such as the University of Florida, Tennessee, and New Mexico State. Dr. Rao has a diverse expertise in working with population genetics, conservation biology, ecological assessment, regulatory science, and genomics of various ornamental plants, fruit crops, and other agricultural plants and forest wild species. His presentation is entitled Subtropical and Tropical Ornamental Genetic Resource Management, Characterizations and Genetic Improvement at USDA-SHRS in Miami, Florida. Dr. Rao.
Yeah. Aloha and happy Friday to you all. So my slides are, I prepared these slides are very general, not really very highly scientific, so that it can be easy to understand. And also, I hope that my presentation won't go up till 30 minutes, but I know it's a lunchtime. But feel free to ask me any questions anytime. I will be very happy to answer those. So once again, this is the Subtropical Horticulture Station in Miami. This is where I work. And I am a geneticist and I lead an ornamental project program over here. So my next slide is, as you all know, I do not have to stress this much, that ornamental industry is one of the most vibrant, very diverse, and the fastest growing business sector in the US, not only in the US, but all around the world as well. In the terms of total sales alone, the US supports a multi-billion-dollar industry, like $159.57 billion. And of all the states in the United States, California and Florida stands in the top 1 and 2 positions with a lot of ornamental jobs. And coming to Florida, major diversity and then greatest economic share of this ornamental product directly comes from various ornamental plants such as palms, woody ornamentals, and then the flowering business. And why Florida is because Florida is like Hawaii, is situated in a very nice climatic zone, tropical and subtropical area. And once again, like Hawaii, it's one of the known tourist and trade hotspot around the world. More than 85% of these non-native plants enter to US through major ports in Florida, avian and seaports. And Florida also has a very rich plant diversity, almost like 1,400 plus non-native plant species. Very, very diverse collection of plants in this area. So this is where we are, the circle area in the Panhandle in the South Miami. So we come under the big umbrella of USDA National Plant Germplasm System. We have around 19 different stations all around, spread all around the US. And all of them have generally a common same mission about conserving agriculturally important plant genetic resources. Majorly revolves around the theme of maintaining the wide diversity of the germplasms and also acquire the germplasms which are suitable for these climatic zones wherever the stations are there, and also preserve them in a very healthy status so that it can be made available to the researchers and then the stakeholders. And then we also characterize them. And once again, as I said, we distribute them to the interested stakeholders, both within US as well as across the US as well. So we also have all the stations have a general national database portal that's called the Green Global. So where all the stations responsible, so they update the germplasms regularly in this web portal. They also gives a nice taxonomic information and also the history of the germplasm from where these germplasms have come and then how old are they, and then so a lot of phenotypic characters, and then the images are also present in this station in this national database, where a requester can actually select the station from where the germplasm he or she would want, and then place a order request from the Green Global. So focusing on subtropical horticulture research station, the yellow circle over here, that's where we are in a very prime land, right close to the sea, which is around 200 plus acres of land in a very prime hotspot area. We have a widest collections of tropical and subtropical species of ornamentals, and then the food crops, and then the cacao plants. Focusing on the ornamental, we have really very nice collections of 200 accessions of various palm species, and then 100 accessions of ficus, various different species, and also very nice cycad plants of almost 70 accessions. And plumerias, majority of our plumerias have came from the University of Hawaii as a backup over here. So we have around 100 accessions of plumeria nicely growing in our field over here. The flowering pictures that you see is kind of an image showing that we have a very diverse species of ornamentals over here, and we do phenotypically capture the images and also collect the data, and then all those informations are regularly updated in Green Global, National Green Global database. For example, as you can see in the yellow highlighted one, that's how the field was a few years before. But the red dots over here, so these are the germplasms distributed all across the 200 acres of land, and we have a precise location of what germplasm growing where and what's the status of those germplasms. Conserving and maintaining these germplasms also comes with challenges of various plethora of different pathogens that affect these germplasms. So we regularly scout these germplasms and check the germplasms' healthy status. And immediately, as soon as we find some disease threat or insect threat, we do have a nice collaboration with various researchers, such as pathologists, entomologists, bacteriologists, and virologists. So we immediately get in touch with them and show our germplasms and try to control the disease spreading. Being as a tropical and subtropical weather, we also have a lot of weed problems. So we also regularly remove the weeds from the station and then maintain the status of the germplasm that what we have on field. So what do we do as an example, specifically on a research part? We, as an example, I put a slide over here on the amaryllis. So we study the genetic diversity of the germplasms and also fingerprint them, try to understand their parentage, where it has come from, how it has evolved, and also identify the gaps and then the repetitions in our collection so that we can reduce the clutterness and have a very unique, clear history and identity of the germ patterns. And then, so those informations, as I said, is uploaded in the national database in the green, and then share it with stakeholders, as I said, not only national, also international too. This is our one of our shade house, huge shade house of trial selection for amaryllis flowers. We also record the data for various phenotypic, molecular, biochemical, and ecological parameters of our germplasms, especially in amaryllis. For example, most of the amaryllis plants are known to be non-fragrant, although they are very showy, nice flowers. They are non-fragrant. But certain species, such as Hipastrum brasilianum, known to be fragrant, which is a very pleasant fragrance. And we do select the different parents, which is having a very nice vibrant colors. And then we also hybridize and cross these parents and try to identify the biochemical characters and the genetic characters, which has better suitable traits, so that we can able to select those ones and then try to improve those and then share it with stakeholders. For example, here the blue and the red diagram that you see. So we have a parent one, that is Brazilianum, and then the parent two, that is an Hipastrum papilio. So we did a crossing of these two, and then we have a hybrid, and then so all the parents as well as the hybrid plants have been a whole transcriptome sequence. As you can clearly see, the hybrids nicely shares the characters of both the parents 1 and 2, and also we also have noticed of various levels of fragrance, and those hybrids are at this moment in the field trials, and eventually we will be selecting the nice hybrids with having the characters of both the parents, and eventually it will be released to the stakeholders. So once again, as I said, we also do whole genome and transcriptome level variation, try to understand what sorts of biological functions that the parents and the offspring do share. And we do have, these are our new equipments that we got it very recently. So these new high throughput equipments will help us in hastening our research to identify the traits that are suitable for the stakeholders over here. These are some of the selections that has been released from the Ornamental program, and those are really very nice, showy flowers and very nice germplasms. We also work on the different ornamental plants, say for example cycads. The cycads first appears to know present almost like 280 million years ago, much older than us, perhaps older than the dinosaur too. So dinosaurs seem to like this plant. Very nice ornamental, but very slow growing plants, and there is a tremendous habitat loss and also illegal trade on these plants, and many seems to be locked in a very specialized geographical locations, and many of them are known to be endemic. So we also studied the population genetics of this one of the endemic cycads. For example, if you see the bar diagram over here, which clearly shows that there is a population structure of these cycads, and very clear block of different colors that indicates that these cycad populations are not having the healthy gene flow, the diversity. So these are the some of the findings that we do with our research, and we also do collect various populations of cycads and also grow them in our station, and also eventually those will be distributed to the stakeholders. Palms is one of my favorite plants too. I'm pretty sure you have a very nice diversity of palms in Hawaii as well. This is one of the small plot image that I took in our station, and the palms play really very positive direct role in Florida's rich history, cultural heritage, and ecology, as well as the tourist who visits Miami. They really love this looking at various palms over here. In this image itself, as you can see, very wide diversity of palms that they grow over here. For example, the date palm relative over here is called a Phoenix Procilla. So we are also having a collaboration with New York University and also Abu Dhabi. So those teams are actually sequencing the whole genome sequencing of the date palm, and also trying to understand the evolutionary history. So we will also be sequencing the date palm relative of Phoenix Procilla. And this is one of my, the elastic palm is one of really, this is the Procopiana species actually, one of my favorite palm. When we have a strong tropical storm and heavy wind and a lot of rains, so a lot of other plants will be kind of really very struggling to stand. But this one seems to be spinning around and bending and bending, and it still stands back. So much elastic characters that this has. There's another palm, that's the tree of life, coconut. Once again, it's another favorite palm. Coconut. Each and every part of the coconut in tropical world is used for one or the other purpose, ornamental properties as well. So that's how generally it's called as a tree of life. We also have various palms of different, like for example the Buckney, the cold tolerant palms. So in case the people who want to grow the palms in a little colder region, so we do have a germplasm variety that the people can use these germplasm to grow in the backyard or the landscape purpose. And we also have a major focus also on the native palms too, because as you know, Florida is under tremendous realtor expansion pressure. So a lot of native populations are under tremendous pressure of habitat loss, and then eventually losing the genetic diversity as well. For example, the Everglade palm, which is a native Florida palm, it's celebrating its 100-year birthday. In fact, in the September month. So happy birthday to our Everglade palm, which is standing still over 100 years, and it's beautiful to look at it. These are some of the germplasms, the exotic palms that I could able to collect from different sources. So some of majority of them are endemic, and then and also majority of palms are also grown from seeds. So that gives me very pleasure to see them how they grow, and eventually we are crossing our fingers that they do very well and get hardy, and then eventually they will also be placed in a field, and then those germplasm will also be made available to the stakeholders all over the place. This is an image of showing that how people love the ornamental plants such as palms over here. There's a common notation saying that if it fits, it ships. The palm can nicely fit in a very nice office environment in the malls and office environment, and also it can grow in a very nice residential areas also, as well as in the farm. And what do we do with our data? As I said in the amaryllis slides, we do genetically fingerprint them, we authenticate them, We does the parentage analysis. We also understand the phylogenetic relationships, and then do whole genome and transcriptome sequencing. Also identify the specific molecular markers and candidate genes, so that people and also the scientists all around the place can use this information for their benefit. Once again, my next project plan is going to start in January 2023. One of the after many objectives, one of the objectives that I'm also studying is that the Fiji dwarf coconut palm selection of the Fiji coconuts. This Fiji coconuts has a lot of really very interesting characteristics as compared to any other coconuts that we are growing down here. So they seem to have really doing very well with resistance to various diseases, and also they also very resistant to flooding and salinity conditions, and their fruits, they bear a considerable number of fruits, and they have a really nice lush green canopy. One of the main important characters is that it has a really nice strong bulge strand, which gives a very strong support to various stress conditions, including the flooding over here. And apparently, our preliminary studies also indicates that Fiji palms seems to have a more genetic diversity as compared to other palms. And then the images over here that, as I said, we develop molecular markers using various approaches, and then and those data will be eventually published in a scientific journal, and also will be shared to all the scientific people as well as the stakeholder community. So we also track where our germplasms are going and how they are doing. So we also regularly be in touch with our stakeholders. And for example, the stars that you see, those are the places. Not only the germplasms go within the US, but also reaches all around the different parts of the world. For example, even with the COVID situation over the past 5 years, we have almost more than thousands of germplasms reached both national as well as international requests. It's a really nice team effort. We do collaborate with our local state agency. We also collaborate with USDA-SHRS to get phytosanitary clearance certificate, so that we can able to share healthy and quality germplasm to our stakeholders. And then the new germplasm that is released will also be shared to the community through USDA office transfer, material transfer agreements too. This is an image suggesting that we keep a close contact with our stakeholders, like even in Florida, and we take their suggestions and then observations seriously, and then we try to modify and we try to refocus and focus our efforts to meet their demands. And this is the preliminary germplasms. We recently took pictures that are growing in our facility over here. Once again, no work nowadays can be done by a single person. I and my team also believes in the unity in diversity. We work on a very common goal mode. And I am basically from India, and then I have a support scientist from Japan, Flew from Chile, and then USA, and then Cuba. And yes, we are also growing. We want more professional people. We want more like-minded people to join our efforts and also help conserve, maintain, and distribute germplasm to the stakeholders. With this, I say thanks with this famous quotation saying that definitely, everything else can wait, but not the agriculture, because agriculture feeds, keeps the mankind very healthy And thank you once again for the opportunity. And I really appreciate this moment. And thank you.
Okay then. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rao, for your presentation all the way from Florida.